My bipolar son pushed me down the stairs and hospitalized me, so I got rid of him. It's been 2 years since, but now he's back, and I think he's stalking my best friend to get to me. My son Tyler was 16 when he and his dad got T-boned by a drunk driver coming home from a school play. Tyler came out with a few cuts on his arms and legs, but his dad got hit with a huge shard right to the abdomen, and Tyler had to watch as his dad bled out in front of him. According to Tyler, his last words were, "I'm gonna make it." In the aftermath, Tyler did a 180 overnight. He went from being this goofy kid who'd make up songs about our dog to smoking grass in our living room and yelling at me to F off. I know he was grieving, I was too. I really tried my best to help him, but it's hard to be nice when you start noticing that most of your tips from the diner you worked at are going missing. I relied on these to make rent. Tyler knew that, but he stole them anyway. Still, I didn't bother him much about it. Just asked to give back what he didn't spend and started working more. But then I caught him red-handed one Tuesday, pawning not only his dad's Seiko watch, but my Nana's pearl necklace that survived 2 World Wars too. When I confronted him, he just stood there in my bedroom doorway crying these crocodile tears. "I just miss him so much, Mom. I needed something of his." "If you need it so much, why are you selling his stuff?" I asked, trying not to cry. I don't know. I think everything just reminds me of him. I don't want to think of him. I want to forget and not feel anything. My chest actually hurt when he said that. I gave him a huge hug, and while we embraced, he swore on his father's grave he'd get help. He'd been getting onto substances a lot more, and he knew himself he needed to stop. I wanted to believe him. But then 2 weeks later, my Percocet from my back surgery vanished. In the past, Tyler had told me they sold for $40 a pop at his high school, so I instantly knew what happened. I confronted Tyler about it, telling him he promised, but instead of apologizing or doing anything, he got aggressive. He put his fist through the drywall right next to his dad's memorial photo. He then looked at me like I was his enemy. I just stood there shaking. I tried to enroll him into therapy after that, but he refused, actually telling me he would beat me up if I forced him to go. That was a real breaking point. And after he turned 18, it only got worse. For no reason, he started telling everyone at church that I beat him. Suddenly, I got a call from the bank about 5 bounced checks. Tyler had stolen them and forged my signature to drain his college fund. $5,800 that I'd saved from his dad's death benefit. The night I confronted him about it, he shoved me backward down the basement stairs. I remember waking up in the ER with this young nurse holding my hand asking, "Honey, who did this to you?" I just mumbled something about tripping over laundry because how do you say your own grieving child did this? I knew I'd had enough though. I dumped all his things on the lawn and changed the locks. I even filed a restraining order. I got 2 years of blessed peace where I could actually sleep through the night. I started going to this grief support group at the Methodist church where I met Linda, who became my lifeline. This tough Polish lady who'd lost her husband to cancer and would split a piece of pie with me after every meeting. I thought things were getting better, but then my sister Sharon called me, and that changed everything. She told me that Tyler was diagnosed bipolar and is taking medication and wants to make amends. She sent me pictures of lithium bottles and a letter from some therapist at the county mental health clinic. Sharon said, "He's your son, Diane. You'll never forgive yourself." I finally caved and met him. I'm not gonna lie, he looked better with a haircut and clean clothes. He showed me pay stubs from Amazon warehouse and talked about his 12-step programs. Even pulled out an envelope with $200 cash as a down payment on what he stole. So we started with Sunday dinners where he'd help me clean gutters or fix the fence. And for 3 months, I thought maybe I got my boy back. Then one day I came out of the bathroom and heard him on his phone laughing, saying, "Yeah, the old lady's eating it up, she has no clue." And my blood went ice cold. Linda had been jumpy lately, saying this blue sedan kept showing up wherever she went. She missed our Tuesday meeting next week, which never happened before in the 2 years. She wasn't answering her phone either. Wednesday morning, I was making coffee when a detective called me asking if I knew Linda. They found her in her apartment beaten so bad her own daughter couldn't identify her. Someone did it with a hammer to get her safe combination where she kept $32,000 in cash from her husband's life insurance. She's in the ICU with a severed spinal cord and damage in her brain. The detective asked about Tyler, and I'm thinking, no. Then he showed me security footage of Tyler's Civic in Linda's parking garage at 2 a.m. The prosecutor Janet laid it out simply and said with my testimony about the assault and theft history, they can get him 20 to 25, but without it, he's looking at 7, maybe 10 with good behavior. I spent an hour in that courthouse bathroom dry heaving while my sister blew up my phone calling me every name in the book. When they finally called me to testify, my legs were jello. I raised my right hand and caught his eye, and for 1 second, I saw my baby boy who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms. But then I saw Linda's face all purple and swollen with tubes down her throat, and I realized I had no idea what to do. That's when I opened my mouth. Nothing came out at first, but then I thought about it again, and this time, my voice came out like broken glass. "He pushed me down the stairs," I said, and the words hung there in the courtroom air. Tyler's face crumpled and he started shaking his head, mouthing no over and over. I kept going, telling them about the stolen checks, the pawned jewelry, the missing pills. Each word felt like pulling teeth, but I couldn't stop looking at the photo of Linda they'd put up on the screen. Her face so swollen, her eyes were just slits. When I finished, Tyler's lawyer tried to make me look like some bitter mother who couldn't handle her son's mental illness. Asked if I'd ever gotten him proper help after his father died. Asked why I didn't call the police sooner if he was so dangerous. I just kept answering honestly, my hands gripping the wooden rail until my knuckles went white. The jury watched me like I was some kind of monster for turning on my own blood. After court, I drove straight to the hospital. Linda's daughter was there, belly round under her sweater, mascara streaked down her cheeks. She grabbed my hand and squeezed it hard. "Thank you," she whispered. "Mom would want you to know she doesn't blame you." But I blamed myself plenty. If I hadn't let Tyler back in, he never would have found out about Linda through our support group conversations. The next few weeks were hell. Sharon stopped speaking to me entirely. People at church acted like I had some contagious disease. Even my manager at the diner started giving me weird looks, probably wondering what kind of mother raises a kid who'd do something like that. I'd come home to nasty messages on my answering machine from Tyler's friends, calling me every name in the book. Then the verdict came in. 22 years. When they read it, Tyler turned around and looked right at me. No tears this time, just this cold, dead stare that made my skin crawl. His lawyer leaned over and whispered something in his ear, clear, and Tyler nodded slowly, still staring at me. That night I couldn't sleep, kept checking the locks, peeking out the curtains. Every car that drove by made my heart race. I called the prosecutor Janet the next morning, told her I was scared. She said Tyler had made some connections inside already, guys from the county jail who ran with real crews on the outside. Said I should consider relocating, maybe stay with family out of state for a while, but I couldn't leave. Linda was still in the ICU, machines breathing for her. The doctor said if she woke up, she'd need to relearn everything: talking, walking, feeding herself. Her daughter was due any day and had nobody else. So I stayed, visiting Linda every day after my shifts, reading to her from those romance novels she loved, holding her hand and telling her about the weather. 3 weeks after the verdict, Linda's eyes fluttered open while I was mid-sentence about some duke in Victorian England. She couldn't speak, could barely move her fingers, but she was there. The nurses said it was a miracle. We started working with speech therapists, physical therapists, occupational therapists. I'd sit there for hours helping her form basic sounds, watching her struggle to say way for water. That's when Tyler's lawyer started calling. Left messages saying Tyler wanted to appeal, that they had new evidence about his medication causing violent episodes. Said some expert would testify that the lithium dosage was wrong, made him psychotic. I deleted every message without listening to the whole thing. Janet said it was just legal maneuvering, that appeals rarely worked, but the calls kept coming. One afternoon, I was helping Linda practice holding a spoon when my phone rang. Private number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. It was Tyler, calling from prison. His voice was different, harder. "Mom, you need to listen to me," he said. "These guys in here, they know where you live. They know your schedule. All I have to do is say the word." My hand started shaking so bad I dropped the phone. Linda made this gurgling sound, trying to ask what was wrong. I picked it back up and Tyler was still talking. "But I won't, if you help me with this appeal. Just tell them you were confused, that maybe I didn't push you. Maybe you really did trip. That's all." I hung up on him, reported the call to Janet immediately. She said they'd restrict his phone privileges, but there wasn't much else they could do. Threats from prison were hard to prove, harder to stop. She suggested witness protection again, but I looked at Linda struggling to swallow applesauce and knew I couldn't leave. The harassment started small. Pizza deliveries I didn't order. My car tires slashed in the diner parking lot. Dead flowers left on my doorstep. Then it escalated. Someone spray-painted "snitch" across my garage door. My bedroom window got broken by a brick with a note wrapped around it. Accidents happen. I installed security cameras, changed my routine, started carrying pepper spray. But I kept visiting Linda. She was making progress. Could say simple words now. Deane, she'd manage, and squeeze my hand. Her daughter had the baby, a little girl named after Linda's mother. I'd bring the baby to visit and Linda's whole face would light up. Tyler's lawyer kept pushing the appeal. Sent documents to my house showing medical records, expert testimonies, brain scans, all trying to prove Tyler wasn't responsible for his actions. I threw them all away unopened. Janet said I didn't have to participate in the appeal, that my original testimony would stand, but the pressure kept building. One night I came home to find my front door slightly open. Nothing was missing, but everything felt wrong. Pictures moved slightly, drawers not quite closed right. Someone had been in my house, going through my things, leaving just enough signs to let me know. I packed a bag and stayed at a motel that night, but I was back at the hospital the next morning. Linda had graduated to forming short sentences. "You okay?" she asked when she saw my face. "I'm fine, honey," I lied, helping her practice holding a cup. The intimidation continued for months. Sharon started calling again, not to reconcile but to blame me for everything. Said Tyler was getting struck up in prison, that he'd tried to hurt himself. Said it was my fault for not supporting his appeal. I changed my phone number, but she found the new one within a week. Then something shifted. The harassment suddenly stopped. No more calls, no more vandalism, nothing. Janet called to tell me Tyler had withdrawn his appeal. No explanation, just paperwork filed to drop the whole thing. I should have been relieved, but it made me more nervous. Tyler never gave up on anything without a reason. I found out the reason 2 weeks later. One of Tyler's prison friends had been arrested for running a robbery crew on the outside. During questioning, he gave up information about plans to hurt me, trying to get a deal. Turned out Tyler had promised him money from my life insurance if something happened to me. But when the guy got caught, Tyler knew it would trace back to him, adding decades to his sentence. So he called it all off, withdrew the appeal, went quiet. Linda was walking with a walker by then, living in a rehabilitation center. We'd sit in the garden and she'd practice reading children's books to her granddaughter. Her speech was slow but clear. "You saved my life," she told me one afternoon, testifying. "When you did. He's my son," I said. And for the first time, it didn't feel like an excuse or an apology, just a fact. "Some kids break different," she said, echoing her words from years ago. I still visit Linda twice a week. She's in assisted living now, can walk with a cane, tells jokes about her physical therapist. Her granddaughter just started kindergarten. Tyler's got 19 more years to go. He doesn't call anymore, doesn't write. Sharon and I don't speak. The church ladies still whisper, but I found a new congregation across town. Sometimes I drive by the old house where Tyler grew up, where his father taught him to throw a baseball in the backyard. I wonder if there were signs I missed, moments I could have changed things. But Linda's right. Some kids break different. All you can do is refuse to let them break you too. I kept my job, my home, my friend. Tyler took enough from me. He doesn't get to take my peace. That's the thing about choosing the hard right over the easy wrong. It keeps hurting long after you've done it. But when I see Linda walking, talking, laughing with her granddaughter, I know I made the only choice I could live with. My son is where he needs to be, and I'm where I need to be. Sometimes that's the best ending you can hope for.